What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you guys, and happy Sunday to you all. This is just more of a catch-up video on films, or catch-up on films video, where I'm going to talk to you guys about the movies that I watched within the last month, especially around the time that I took a break from YouTube. And you might have seen these movies. Some of these are not like, brand new movies. Some of these are actually older films that I watched for the first time or were rewatches. I also mixed in brand new movies that just came out that maybe you haven't seen yet. You probably have heard of them, but you haven't seen them yet. But if you have seen any of these, definitely let me know what you guys think of them. For me, none of these are bad movies. That's just my opinion. Some are definitely better than others. I would say it kind of ranks from movies that I love up to movies that I just liked. But none of these were bad. And if you guys get a chance to watch them, if you've never seen them, definitely do so. I think any of these movies are pretty much films to just check out and see what you think. Some I would say are definitely purchase-worthy movies. Other films I would say if you can watch them on some type of streaming device first, maybe you could check them out that way, maybe Amazon Prime, whatever it may be. I definitely recommend watching any of these guys. So if you have seen them, let me know what you guys think about them down in the comments below. And if you haven't seen them yet, definitely go ahead and watch them. And it's a pile of movies, different genres, so you're going to see some sci-fi horror movies, some sci-fi films, some romantic comedies, some dramas, different genres, all in this pile of movies. And I'm actually going in alphabetical order, how I kind of pulled them off the shelf. So we're going to start with the D's and we're going to go all the way down to the very end. But the first movie I'm going to talk about is Deep Rising. This is a 1996 sci-fi, abandoned ship type of film. I love these type of movies. I love films that take place on abandoned ships, like Ghost Ship. I think that's a great one. I think it's a little bit underrated. I also love like the underwater sci-fi horror movies or just sci-fi films. Those are always some of the films that really interest me. And I really had a great time with Deep Rising. This was a first-time watch. Again, came out in 1996, so it's not a brand new movie that came out. But this is a Blu-ray that came out, I would say, probably 2 years ago. So it's fairly new. Kino Lumbar released it. If you guys can get your hands on Deep Rising, I would definitely recommend checking it out. You got a great familiar cast here. Famke Janssen being a really familiar face for me. The lead actor in the movie, I believe his name is Trent Williams. Hopefully I'm saying that right. He's been in a lot of like TV shows and movies, so when you see his face, you'll know who he is. But it's just a fun abandoned ship sci-fi horror movie from the 90s that I recommend checking out. I believe the director is Steven Sommers, so I think he did, if I'm correct, I think he did the Mummy from 1999. So, but yeah, Deep Rising. Definitely check this one out, guys. The next one is another one of those sci-fi horror movies, and this is one of 3 films that I'm going to talk about that take place underwater. All of them have different plots and themes, but this one was a lot of fun. Again, another one from, I believe, Kino Lumbar. Came with a really cool slipcover, and that is Deep Star 6. Another fun sci-fi horror movie, a little bit campy, but still very entertaining. Again, you got a cast that, are pretty familiar from other movies and television shows. You probably have seen them in some 80s and 90s stuff and current stuff, 2000s, 2010 films and television shows. But anyway, I just had a blast with this. This is again another one of those sci-fi, horror movies that take place underwater. And I have a great time with those. Those are, I wouldn't say they're guilty pleasures. Those are just a lot of my go-to movies. If I find, the trailers interesting, I like to check them out. And so Deep Star 6 was definitely one to watch. It's also directed by Sean S. Cunningham, who directed the original Friday the 13th. And I think a lot of his films outside of, him directing Friday the 13th are a little bit underrated. So like Deep Star 6, The New Kids, those are some great 80s horror movies that he directed. I think he directed The First House. I could be wrong, but I think he directed that or he produced it. So he's done a lot of great stuff, a lot of like underrated gems outside of Friday the 13th. So definitely give Deep Star 6 a watch. I highly recommend it. And if you love a lot of those underwater sci-fi horror movies, this is definitely one to check out. Again, bit more campy, but I still overall loved it and would recommend you guys watch this if you've never seen it. Kind of shifting from horror movie sci-fi stuff to more of like a romantic comedy genre. This is a film that I saw when it came out in 2015 on DVD. I remember renting this movie on DVD, and I thought it was pretty good back then. I definitely loved the cast, but rewatching it now, I actually really love it. And that is Elizabethtown, and this is based on a town that I live about 25 minutes away from me. But yeah, you got Orlando Bloom, Kirsten Dunst, a lot of familiar faces in this movie. It's directed by Cameron Crowe, who directed a film that I just watched not too long ago, Say Anything, for the first time, and I absolutely love that. So I want to go back and I want to watch a lot of Cameron Crowe movies. This came out from Paramount Presents, and it was a great Blu-ray, great transfer of the movie. A lot of, old bonus features transferred over, and you got a new interview with Cameron Crowe talking about the film. I really, overall loved it this last time I watched it last month. I thought it was a, great February watch to definitely check out. If you haven't seen it in a while, definitely give it a watch. Again, when I saw it for the first time, I did like it. I thought it was pretty good, but I didn't really love it. Now going back, 16 years later, 15 years later, I think it came out in 2016 or 2005 or 2006. It had been a long time since I'd seen the movie, so when I bought the Blu-ray, I went ahead and I rewatched it, and I had a great time with it. So Elizabethtown, definitely check that one out, guys. If you haven't seen it in a while, or if it's a first-time watch, I highly recommend it. This next one is a brand new movie that just came out not too long ago on Blu-ray. Overall, again, love the cast. Hilary Swank is in this movie. The movie itself, I thought, was overall good, but it could have been better. It's one of those femme fatale movies, and I absolutely love that subgenre of films. I like when they're actually kind of campy, but serious. This one was definitely more of a surprise. So when you watch the trailer, it's not, you think you're going to get like an over the top kind of campy movie. This one took it a lot more serious, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just think overall it was a good movie, but definitely not one of the best kind of femme fatale films. But I'm talking about Fatale. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Fatale? Femme Fatale. Fatale. Yeah, there we go. Hilary Swank. Our lead actor in the movie is Michael Ealy? Hopefully I'm saying his name right. He's been in a lot of stuff. I think the last one he was in was Intruder, which I need to see that one. That looks a lot of fun. Again, this movie here, I thought it was good. It could have been a lot better. I recommend watching it. Maybe try to, stream it or watch it on Amazon Prime first. I don't know if it's free with Amazon Prime, but I know you can rent it on there. Or if you love collecting physical media like I do, of course I paid, full price for this, but I'd say probably within the next couple months you'll see it go down in price. So if you want to pick it up then, definitely do so. Or like for me, I love going on eBay because sometimes you can find them for like $15, brand new movies that just came out, and I recommend going that route too. Again, could have been better. Good movie though. It had some really good suspense in it. Overall, really good acting. I would say like the one, kind of fallback with this movie, well, two things. Again, I love the campy femme fatale movies that are also serious, and I wish this one had a little bit more camp to it. Not like overall cheesy, but still like have a little bit of fun, little bit of camp with it. I also found like most of the characters not to be really likable. That's just my personal opinion. When you watch the movie, you'll know why. I mean, there's things that all the characters pretty much do that are just wrong. I don't know how to describe it without spoiling it. You never really had a character that you were like hooked on or kind of interested in. I think, Hilary Swank and our lead guy in the movie, they're definitely the most interesting characters. They're our lead characters in the film. But yeah, overall, I would say if I had to rate this one, since this is a brand new movie, I would give it like a 2.5 out of 4 out of a rating. I think it's a good film. Again, if you guys want to rent it or stream it first, or, just wait till it goes down in price, I would say definitely do that. But Fatale, overall, good movie. This next one really surprised me, and I thought, Fatale was going to be better, because the trailer that I saw for this movie definitely wasn't something that I was going to jump right away and, like, watch. But Walmart had this for like $14, and I thought, why not check it out for $14? This is actually one of those films on this, pile of movies that I would say go ahead and buy right away or watch it right away. I really love the film, and that is Fear of Rain. So I believe this is a Blumhouse movie that kind of just came out of nowhere. I remember seeing the trailer a couple months ago and thinking, it looked okay. I wasn't too big on the trailer. But again, I went to Walmart and they had this brand new for $14.98. I said $15, that's a great deal for a brand new movie. And I overall loved Fear of Rain. I think besides kind of the twist at the end where you kind of see it coming a little bit, or like one of the two twists at the end of the film, besides that, I loved it. Again, overall loved it. I think you have a great cast here. You got Harry Connick Jr., Katherine Heigl, our lead actress, Madison Iseman. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. I believe she was in the new Jumanji movies. A lot of familiar faces in here. Again, Harry Connick Jr., Katherine Heigl, I think they gave great performances. This is just a really fun kind of, again, fun, serious kind of thriller, horror movie, suspense film. If you love films like Rear Window or Disturbia, it kind of falls in that same line of subgenre. Has some nice twists and turns throughout it. Again, there was one twist where I kind of saw that coming, which I'm not going to give away. Unless you have seen the movie, maybe we can discuss it somewhere on Instagram or something. But Fear the Rain, this is definitely a must-purchase, guys. Or if you don't want to purchase it right away and you just want to stream it somehow, definitely watch it right away. It is definitely one I recommend. That's a high recommendation on this list. Real quick plot synopsis with this. Again, it's a kind of Disturbia, Rear Window type of film. It's about this girl. She's, coming home after kind of going through kind of an illness, which I don't want to mispronounce it, so I'm not going to. But she goes home, and her neighbor, she thinks that her neighbor has a little girl kind of held captive in her house. And she tries to tell friends of hers, she tries to tell her parents, and no one wants to believe this teenage girl. And so it's pretty much her having to try to prove to everybody that this woman has this little girl captive in her house. So, great movie though, guys. I again, highly recommend it. I really love that film. And if you haven't seen it, I don't want to give too much away. Just go ahead and watch that one. This is a classic film, but I just want to talk about the transfer real quick, and that is the UK release of The Fog on 4K. So this is an overseas version of The Fog on 4K. John Carpenter's The Fog. This is one of my favorite John Carpenter films of all time. I would say after Halloween and The Thing, this is my third favorite of John Carpenter's films. Great atmosphere, great cast. This is actually really eerie too, kind of creepy. I know that sometimes when I watch this like in the middle of the night when all the lights are off, it's kind of creepy and effective for me. But yeah, The Fog, classic film. I really just want to talk about the transfer though, because if you guys want to pick up this UK 4K release of The Fog, I would say it's definitely worth picking up. The picture quality is definitely slightly improved over, for example, the Scream Factory Blu-ray, which I do love that release and that transfer, but this is definitely slightly better. If you want to pick this up right away, I would say we're probably going to get the same 4K transfer if Scream Factory releases this on 4K in the future. I think the only difference you're going to have is there's going to be a Dolby Atmos track. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I'm really bad with that terminology. But you're going to have, a different, like, Dolby Atmos track with, a Scream Factory release of the film. But this does sound really good. Again, you're going to get the same picture quality. So if you just want to pick up like any type of release of The Fog on 4K, definitely pick up this release from overseas. I believe this is a UK release. The Blu-rays do not play. So, unless you have a region-free player, You can play the Blu-rays, but if you're just wanting to get it for the 4K release, the 4K is region free. Again, the Blu-rays are region locked, so I highly recommend holding on to your Scream Factory release if you love bonus features, because you're pretty much getting some bonus features that were transferred over, I believe, except for the Jamie Lee Curtis interview. So hold on to that Scream Factory release. I definitely am, but I'm glad to have this on 4K. This, again, is one of my favorite John Carpenter films, and picture quality wise, I'm going to give this like a 3.5 out of 4, and sound, I'm going to give the same thing. I think this is definitely a upgrade movie to pick up if you love the film, or if you just love collecting John Carpenter films on 4K, definitely pick that one up. The next film I'm going to talk about is a brand new movie. A lot of people are talking about this. I did not see this in theaters. I wish I would have. Of course, we were in a pandemic, so I waited until the Blu-ray came out. And we are in a pandemic still. I don't know if I said, of course, we were in a pandemic. We're still in a pandemic. I just wasn't going to the theater at the time to see Freaky. But Freaky was a lot of fun. Awesome movie. One of the best films from last year. I really don't need to talk about this movie too much because I think a lot of people have seen this. And if you haven't seen of it, you've heard of it. It's getting a lot of buzz, a lot of praise. I know it's the same director of the Happy Death Day films, and some people complain that those movies are PG-13 and they cut away from the kills. This one is not afraid to cut away from the kills. It's R-rated, it's bloody, it's gory, some really fun kills, really fun characters, and I love the premise of taking like the Freaky Friday kind of story and putting it into a horror movie. You got a great cast here, Vince Vaughn and Catherine Newton, who she's been in a lot of like current stuff. She's an upcoming actress. I think she was great in this. I thought Vince Vaughn was great in this. I thought the whole cast was great. So if you haven't seen Freaky yet, definitely do so, guys. It's a must watch. And check out Best Buy. Like Best Buy for some, well, not for some reason, but Best Buy recently had that for like $14.88. So again, like brand new movies, if you guys just want to wait till they go down in price, that's a way of getting these movies if you want to wait a little bit. This next one is, again, one of those films, kind of like with Fear the Rain. I'm just going to say go ahead and buy this, or I think Netflix already has it on their streaming service, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's already on there. But that's The Last Blockbuster. For me, this is a one to go out and just buy it on Blu-ray. It's about, the last Blockbuster that's still around, one of the last video stores that's still around, and I was so, happy with this documentary. It brought back a lot of nostalgia. If you're a 90s kid, or, even growing up in, I would say, the, till, 2005 or 2006, however long Blockbuster was around, you grew up with video stores. You grew up with Blockbuster. Every Friday night or just every weekend would go to a video store, would go to Blockbuster and look around, the aisles and aisles of movies, rent some brand new movies, rent some older films, grabbed your popcorn, grabbed your candy, and, would go home and watch movies. And The Last Blockbuster really brought back a lot of nostalgic feel. Absolutely love this documentary. It's interesting from beginning to end. You have some interviews with, again, familiar faces, actors, actresses, people behind the scenes of, movies and television shows. And then you get to talk to the manager who runs The Last Blockbuster and, the creator of literally this Blockbuster that's still around. And I love this. I thought it was really good. Again, I thought it was great. Not even really good. I thought it was great. And if you love nostalgic stuff, again, if you grew up in the 90s especially, going to the video stores, going to Blockbuster, this is definitely one to check out. Highly recommend purchasing this. If you guys want to watch it first on, I believe Netflix has it, go ahead and do that. Or if you just want to purchase this, go ahead and purchase it, guys. I believe I got this on Amazon for $19.98, so really good price there, guys. The next one, again, is one of those sci-fi underwater horror movies. This one came out the same year as The Abyss and Deep Star 6, and this is Leviathan. This is an overseas Blu-ray. It is region free. Scream Factory at one point had released this, and you know, unfortunately it's out of print. But I found this on eBay for like $24.98, so it was a really good price. It came within like 3 or 4 weeks. But once I got it, I had to watch it because, again, I love that subgenre of movies, like the underwater horror movies. And I thought it was great. It's a lot of fun. It's also pretty dark and serious at times, too. So you're getting kind of a mixed genre or mixed emotions of different emotions in this movie, if that makes sense. But Leviathan, guys, definitely go ahead and watch it. Again, if you guys want to try to find it like on Amazon Prime or any type of streaming service, definitely do that. But again, this is one that, you know, if you love like that sci-fi, underwater horror movie subgenre, go ahead and purchase this. Again, eBay had this for $24.98, or if you're lucky, go ahead and pick up the Scream Factory if you just come across it cheap, or the DVD. I know it's available on DVD, and I'm not sure if that's out of print. But yeah, Leviathan, great movie. Again, underwater sci-fi horror movies, I absolutely love that. This was just a rewatch, and I did not own this on DVD, so this is the first time I'm having a physical copy of this movie. It is one of my favorite romantic comedies. It came out in the 90s, and honestly, it's kind of underrated compared to a lot of like those 90s romantic comedies that came out. And that is One Fine Day with Michelle Pfeiffer and George Clooney. I grew up with this movie. This was a film that I remember watching so much on TV. So I think like HBO had this on TV, or like just, you know, I think like the USA or some type of channel would always play this movie. And that's how I fell in love with the film, and that's how I watched it for the first time. So again, I did not have the DVD. This is my first time owning a physical copy of this movie. And it's one of my favorite romantic comedies. So One Fine Day. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen this, but if it's been a while since you've seen it, definitely go ahead, pick it up, guys. It's definitely worth owning in the collection. And if you haven't seen it before, but you love romantic comedies, it's definitely worth owning. This is a film that I just watched last night, and shout out to my dear friends. I love these people so much. I consider them family. Brian and Heather. Love you guys. They sent this to me, so big shout out to them. But that is Psycho Goreman. So I will say this without giving too much away. If you love the Monster Squad, if you love Wishmaster, and if you love The Gate, there's a lot of like, you know, kind of homages to different horror movies in here. Even Phantasm. There's one moment in this that reminded me of Phantasm, and it's a nightmare sequence, so I don't want to give too much away. But if you love all those movies, if you just love nostalgic, like 80s, 90s horror movies, you know, stuff that, you know, like the Monster Squad or Wishmaster or The Gate, like I mentioned, you're going to get that with Psycho Goreman. It's not a film that takes itself too serious. It's a pretty dark comedy. It's a dark comedy. It's a lot of fun. It's gory. It's over the top. And somebody last night, I was reading somebody's comment, and they talked about how it kind of reminded them of Power Rangers. And, you know, there's some characters in this movie that when you watch this, you're like, yeah, that reminds me of like the 90s Power Rangers show that I grew up with, and like many of you guys grew up with. But yeah, Psycho Goreman, it's a mix of comedy, it's a mix of horror, it's a mix of suspense, it's gory, it's fun. Characters are fun. Yeah, I definitely recommend this one, guys, if you've never seen it. Again, this is going to be one of those films that I just recommend go ahead and watch it, pick it up. It's worth watching. I think if you have Shudder, it's a Shudder original, so you can watch it on there first if you don't want to pick up the Blu-ray or DVD right away. But yeah, this is definitely one to just go ahead and watch. Psycho Goreman, just a lot of fun, guys. We're down to the last 3 films, guys, or one other film that I'm going to talk about that is only available right now on Amazon Prime, but I'll talk about that last. This one right here, if you love, you know, kind of voodoo horror movies like Serpent and the Rainbow or Angel Heart, I believe, it's kind of in the lines of that, like voodoo horror movies, that subgenre of film. And that is Spell. This one has been out for a while. I went to Walmart one day and found it for $12.98. I thought that was a great deal. I know it was like $19.98 for a while. So like with a brand new movie, this was not a film that I wanted to pay full price for. So when it was $12.98, I went ahead and I picked it up and watched it. Overall, thought it was great. Wasn't one that I loved right away, but I think after another rewatch, I'll love it. But still, really enjoyed this film. Loretta Devine from like Urban Legend and Urban Legend 2. She's been in a lot of other things, but I remember her from Urban Legend. She's in this movie. She plays one of the lead kind of villains in the film. She does a great job. The lead actor in the movie, Omar Hardwick, hopefully I'm saying his name right. He did a great job. He's our lead character in the film. It's about a family. They're flying to, I believe, because it's been a while since I've seen this, they're going to, go to a family funeral. And they're flying there, and their plane kind of falls down, and they get in an accident. Well, the lead actor in the movie, the lead character, he wakes up in Loretta Devine's house, and he's pretty much held captive there. Again, it's a mix of voodoo horror movies. It's the voodoo horror movie subgenre. So if you like those films, definitely check it out, guys. Again, I got it for $12.98. That was a really good deal. The next one is Sphere. This one's been out for a while, so I'm not really going to talk about it too much. I remember seeing this, bits and pieces of it on TV, but this was the first time I was watching the entire thing. Again, real quick, if you love underwater, subgenre, sci-fi horror movies, this is definitely one to check out. Out of the 4 I've talked about, or the 3 that I've talked about, I think, I talked about 3 others. Sphere is definitely one of the best ones. One that a lot of people don't talk about, so if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's based around your fear and, the fear that these, crew members have. So I don't want to give too much away if you've never seen it. You got a great cast overall here. As far as, special effects go and CGI, great, CGI effects, great cast, great atmosphere. Again, if you love that underwater, sci-fi genre, this is definitely one to check out. This one right here, it's going to split people. I'm going to tell you right now, if you've never seen it, it's either going to be a movie that you either love, really enjoy, or just don't like at all. It's a reboot. I'm going to call it a reboot of the 2002 or 2003 film, and that is Wrong Turn. So this movie is definitely going to divide people, and I'll understand if you're a diehard Wrong Turn, if you're a fan of pretty much any of the movies in the franchise, you might like this, you might not like it. I personally overall loved it. I found it to be really enjoyable. I really enjoyed the movie a lot. Kind of watching the trailer, which it doesn't give too much away, but watching the trailer, I kind of had an idea where this movie was going. It didn't give a lot away, but I was kind of feeling that it was going to be different from the 2002 or 2003 movie. Which I love that slasher movie. That's one of my favorites. I love Wrong Turn. As far as the franchise goes, I'm not too crazy about them now. I think I appreciated them more when they were all coming out. Wrong Turn 4, I think, out of the sequels, that's the one that kind of really stands out for me personally. But Wrong Turn, I really enjoyed this movie. The first half of the film, I will say, feels more like a Wrong Turn kind of remake, but once you get to the second half of the movie, this is definitely more of a reboot. So again, this is going to divide people. You're either going to love it, like it, or completely dislike it, but I really enjoyed this movie a lot. So Wrong Turn, definitely check that one out. I would say if you can watch it somehow on Amazon or any type of streaming device before you purchase it, definitely do that just to kind of give your opinion before you kind of spend, I think, like $14.98 on it. But if you're just a physical media collector and you like to get things right away, it's definitely worth picking up. I really enjoyed this movie. And the last film I want to talk about, it is not available on Blu-ray yet. It's a shame. I hope Amazon Prime, it's an Amazon Prime original. I hope it comes out at some point. I just watched this movie for the first time a couple weeks ago. It's part of, it's part of the, gay-themed films, LGBTQ, collection of films. And that is Uncle Frank. I love this movie. If you guys don't know what Uncle Frank's about, it follows a teenage girl. She's the girl from the new It movies. She played the character Beth, I believe. She's this, teenage girl, young woman, going off to college, and her uncle, Uncle Frank, lives in this, city. I believe it's New York. He's actually a professor at this college. Well, she comes to find out after going to a party that her uncle's gay, and he hasn't really told his family. So he's living two different lives, living in New York, openly gay, but when he goes back to his small town that he grew up in, you know, he hasn't told his family that he's come out. I believe his older sister knows, but that's the only one. And the reason why he hasn't come out to his family and kind of has these two different lives is he has this past. You know, you find out that he was in love with one of his best friends growing up, and something happens within that, you know, kind of part of the story that I don't want to give away. But, you know, it's pretty much a story about, you know, finally, you know, being able to come out and being open to your family, your loved ones. And I absolutely loved Uncle Frank. I think this is a great movie. I think it's one that if you've never seen it, please go ahead and watch it on Amazon Prime. It's free on Amazon Prime. It is one to watch. Paul Bettany plays Uncle Frank, and he gives such a fantastic performance in this movie. Again, the lead actress from the It movies, the actress who played the character Beth, her first name is Sophia. I don't want to give her last name away because I really don't want to mispronounce it. She does a great job as well. Paul Bettany's lover in the movie, I don't know his name right off the bat, or just right off right now. But he does a great job too. Overall, great cast. Really emotional movie though, so grab like your tissues. I think anybody will cry with this movie. Again, you get to find out more of Paul Bettany's past when he was a teenager, living in a small town, and that stuff's sad. So anyway, guys, I don't want to make this video any too longer, or any longer than it is. I just wanted to talk about movies. Recommend watching any of them, guys. Some of them are purchase worthies right away. Some of them are streaming. Some of them are just watch when you can. But definitely watch all these. I don't think any of these movies are bad, but definitely some are better than others. Uncle Frank is one to go ahead and watch right away. I loved it. I'll be watching it again soon. So as always, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. Thank you guys so much for watching. In with the positive, out with the negative. Go eat some Skittles, and so much love to you all, and I'll talk to you soon.